Good evening, everybody. I hope we're all doing well today. Welcome to our November month webinar. So I just want to say Happy New Month in advance because this is the last day of November, and welcome to our webinar for today. So my name is Oindamola Jimo, and I'll be your host for today. Our topic for today is closing the cybersecurity skill gap. But before we go into that, let me tell you a bit about CYSEC NG. So CYSEC NG is an NGO. It means Cybersecurity Challenge Nigeria Initiative. And we are an NGO that's focused on identifying Nigeria's next generation of cybersecurity professionals. We connect Nigeria's best and brightest cybersecurity industry. We create an enabling platform for skill acquisition, youth empowerment, and local content development in the area of information and cybersecurity. And what we do is that we try to create a platform for everyone headed towards the growth and development of Nigeria. And of course, with some of our boot camps and our outreach, I feel like we are beyond Nigeria now. We are now across Africa. So we recently concluded our Shirut boot camp, where we're able to touch lives of different ladies from different parts of Nigeria as well as the world, because we had ladies from different countries in Africa and even outside Africa. It was an amazing experience. And honestly, I miss having that boot camp because it was a nice experience with the ladies. So guess what, guys? We're having one of our Shirut alumni as today's speaker. She's going to be our speaker for today. Her name is Janet Olagunju. So she's going to be giving us a talk on how to close the cybersecurity skill gap. So let me say a bit about closing the cybersecurity skill gap. So as we all know, there is a shortage of cybersecurity skill, skillful cybersecurity analysts, several description of works as regards to cybersecurity. So organizations are more prone to threats when we have low skillful people in cybersecurity. It makes us more vulnerable to threats, not just organizations, but individuals, businesses, even the government. So us filling this skill gap is very important. It's not just about getting certifications or having trainings. It's important for us to progress ourselves, for us to learn more, and to fill up these gaps to be able to protect ourselves from cyber criminals. As technology is getting more sophisticated, so as the cyber criminals. So it is important for us to also be more sophisticated and be up to date so that we can be able to tackle these cyber criminals. So now I think I'm going to leave the floor to our speaker for today. So if you have your questions or concerns, you can note it down or put it in the chat box as this webinar is going on. So you can note down your questions for our speaker. So I'm going to give our speaker, Janet Olagunju, the floor now. So Janet, are you ready for us?
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Can you all hear me? You can't see me. Can you hear me?
Janet, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Okay, you can hear me. Okay, so good evening.
I think she's having some network issues because I cannot hear her at the moment. Can anybody hear her?
Yeah, someone said he can hear me.
Can anybody hear Janet?
Please, can anyone hear me?
Okay, so Janet, I would love for you to.
Jesus Christ. Okay. Okay, my name is Janet Olagunju. Um, are you sure you can hear me? I feel like you can hear me. Okay, some people said they can hear me. Okay, my name is Janet Olagunju. Our speaker for today. I am an alumni of the recently concluded Shirut Boot Camp, which was amazing, by the way. Thanks to our coaches and thanks to CYSEC NG for the wonderful experience. So today I'll be talking about closing the cybersecurity skill gap. Please, are you sure you can hear me? Uh, Clearly, okay. So I'll be starting with what is meant by skill gap. Now, according to Google, skill gap is the disparity between what the employer expects and what the employee is able to do. In simpler terms, it simply means what the owner of a company expects from his employees and what the employee can actually do. Now, let me use a let me give an example. For instance, I own a bakery. I'm the owner of the bakery. So clearly I can't do everything in the bakery. So I'm going to employ people for me. Now, me employing people, I expect that okay, they know the things they're supposed to do to aid the business. For instance, probably they know how to knead the dough or how to work the machines or what they need to do, the a certain degree the oven has to be for the bread to bake and all of that. So now, if I employ a new person and then, oh, you can't see my slide. Okay, sorry about that. Let me share my screen. Uh, okay, can we see my screen? Can we see my screen? Uh, okay, okay, you can see my screen. So we're talking about closing the cybersecurity skill gap. And I was giving an example of a skill gap. Now, okay, as I was saying, so I have a new worker, and then this new worker, or probably even an old worker, is supposed to know that okay, before you put the dough in the pan and then take it to the oven to bake it, you're supposed to grease the pan and then dust it with some flour. So it's very easy for the bread to come out when you're done baking and all that. So when this happens, and then the new worker and old worker does not have that knowledge that is supposed to have to work in my bakery. It doesn't do any of those. And then just after kneading the dough, just puts it in the pan and then takes it to the oven for the bread to bake. Now, when the bread is coming out, it's very difficult for the bread to come out smoothly when you have this fresh, nicely baked bread that we get from the bakery and that. So that is clearly a skills gap because what my employee has done is different from what I expect my employee to do. as an employer. What my employer did is clearly different from what I expect from him. So that is a skill gap. Do we all get me? Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so now let's go to cybersecurity skill gap. Now, cybersecurity skill gap is just like the skill, we've talked about skill gap. So now we are linking skill gap with cybersecurity. Now, cybersecurity skill gap is just basically the the skills that a cybersecurity expert or cybersecurity employee, I don't know if that's correct, is supposed to know, or the knowledge the person is supposed to know about cybersecurity, but the person does not know it, or the person is not equipped with enough knowledge. Like our moderator said earlier, she said I think my network went off. Can we hear me?
Yes, we can. You can go on.
Okay. Okay. Okay, now the cybersecurity skills gap. Now there's obviously a very big gap. Can we see my screen, or do I have to? Okay. Okay, now the motive question: is there actually a skill gap in the field of technology with focus on cybersecurity? The answer is yes, because clearly there's a skill gap in cybersecurity. Please give me a minute. Trying to. Okay, so there's obviously a skill gap in cybersecurity because in today's world, technology is evolving. It keeps evolving. Not even in today's world, from times past, technology is always evolving. And cyber criminals are always thinking of different ways to penetrate people's system or to get access to information they are not authorized to. And then there are not enough cybersecurity professionals, or there are not enough cybersecurity experts to help curb this problem, because the is a case where we have maybe, as at last year, we have a certain number of cybersecurity professionals in the field, and then if you relate or you try to compare with the amount of criminals, you see that it's a very wide margin, and there are not enough people to help to bridge that gap, to help to reduce it, because hacking and then cyber criminals and all of that, we can't totally stop it. We can only do our best to protect our system, to protect the organization system from being hacked, or from being penetrated by intruders. So how do we bridge this gap? Now, how do we bridge this gap? It's just like saying you are a I'm sorry, I'm going to be giving a lot of scenarios, because I feel that's how that's how you're going to understand me better. Now, if you have a security guard of a company, and then the security guard is obviously meant to protect the physical structure of the company, from burglars, from thieves, and whatsoever wants to come into the compound that is not supposed to be in the compound at that point. Please, can we all hear me? Can you see my screen now? Yes. Okay, we can see my screen. Okay. So if now this security guard is meant to guard the structure, like the building of the organization. Now, if the security guard is lacking in his duty, there's a skill gap in that scenario, in that instance. Now, for cybersecurity, now you have cybersecurity professionals in an organization, and then they're supposed to help to keep the information about the company information. Are supposed to help to keep it safe, because we have companies that have intellectual property and they also have their trade secrets, and this information is not even supposed to be known to. It's not supposed to be known to all the employees in that organization. It's only supposed to be known to a handful of people in the organization. Now, if even all the employers in that organization do not have access to that trade secret or intellectual property, now imagine if someone from outside the company that does not even supposed to have any business with that information gets a hold of that information, which is not supposed to be so. So bridging the cybersecurity skill gap is simply doing our best to make sure that we are up to date with the newer methods that the intruders or cyber criminals might use to gain access to our information. Make sure that we're up to date with whatever skills that we possess, because sometimes the skills we possess, at some certain point might not be enough in 2-3 years time. Because if, for instance, I say, okay, I'm a certified cybersecurity professional, and then I know how to do a certain number of things, at that point, probably for this year now, there are some new skills that came out this year. And then someone that probably got a certification 5 years ago will not know about it. I don't know if we understand what I'm trying to say. Someone that got his certification 5 years ago might not know about the new skills or the new methods that are out now to help with curbing cyber criminals. So what we have to do is we have to make sure that we are up to date. We have to make sure that whatever we are doing, you say you're a cybersecurity professional, make sure that your skills are up to date, because the skill you knew 2-3 years ago might be outdated 5 years down the line. So you have to make sure that you have to make sure that you are always up to date about things that are in vogue to curb cyber criminals, to curb hacking and unauthorized access to systems. Now, if we look at, we are talking about skills gap, bridging the gap and all of that. Let's use a practical example. We are building a bridge. Now, I want to bridge the cybersecurity skill gap. Now, I started from somewhere. Now, I joined a boot camp, and they introduced me to cybersecurity, introduced me to networking, introduced me to technology, introduced me to data analysis, and all of that. All of this I mentioned was probably taught in the Shields boot camp that we just concluded. So now they've introduced me to all of that, and I've seen that, oh, okay, I want to pick a career. I want to pick a career and I want it to be in cybersecurity. So I can't just say because I've done introduction to cybersecurity, I'll just sit back and relax that, oh, I know something about cybersecurity. It doesn't work that way. So what I have to do next is probably have to go a step further and then try to look for some other courses I can take online, some other certifications that I can do that will help me to increase my knowledge about cybersecurity and also give me practical experience and hands-on experience about cybersecurity. Because now I'm at the start of the bridge. I'm trying to build a bridge. I've started with knowing about cybersecurity. I'm taking it a step further by applying for a professional certification course. Now, if I do that professional certification, or when I have the professional certification, I've built probably 10 steps into the bridge. Now, it's not going to end there. Sorry, excuse me. It's not going to end there. If I take that certification course and I don't take it a step further, and I just feel like, oh, I'm already certified in cybersecurity and I don't do anything, I'm going to be at that point. I'm just going to be there. That 10 steps I've built into the bridge is just going to be there. It's not going to do anything. It's just going to be there. It's just going to be there at that point. And now, building a bridge, the whole point of building a bridge is to link from one point to another. Now, those 10 steps cannot take me to the next point I'm trying to reach. So I have to do something more that will take me steps further into that bridge and then link me to my end point. So after the certification, I can be certified and not have hands-on experience. So I'll take it a step further by trying to get hands-on experience with cybersecurity scenarios and probably do a pen testing course and just try to keep myself up to date about how to be relevant in the cybersecurity field. Now, if I do that and I just stop again, if I do that and I stop again, I still haven't gotten there. So I have to keep moving. I have to keep doing what I'm doing. I have to continue to make sure that, okay, this gap, we have to at least, if we can't close it, at least let's be close to it. So the adverse effect is not going to be overly pronounced. I don't know if you understand. Do we understand what I'm trying to say? Did we all get me? Yes, okay. Okay. Now, how to get everyone involved? How to get everyone involved? For cybersecurity professionals, we have males and we have females. Now, it's not like some people will say that the tech world is biased to the male, that they don't employ a lot of females in the tech world. They are leaving the females out of it, which is not true. Because if you look at it, majority of the tech organizations we have, like take CYSEC NG for an example now, they organize webinars, they organize webinars, they organize boot camps, they organize trainings, they organize different things just to try to bridge. They are also trying to bridge that gap. Now, the just concluded bootcamp is an example. We had about 300 plus women that attended the bootcamp, and I was one of them, and it was a very wonderful experience. Every day on my timeline, I'll always see flyers. You see, tech organizations organizing a boot camp for females, boot camp for females, boot camp for females. Everybody, all organizations are trying to exactly hang out, organize just to bridge that gap between male and female. But now the issue is with the amount of females that they're introducing into the field every day, you see notice that the gap between the male and the female is still a bit much. Now I heard a story was recently. I heard a story recently. Now this tech organization were trying to employ people, and they actually wanted to employ women for the post. Now, is a position now, so male and female, likewise, everybody applied for that post. And then what they found out was that the number of females that applied for the post were a handful. Like they're not as much as, not like they were little, but they're not as much as the male counterparts. And then they found out that either some of the um ladies were underqualified for the post, or like they just had a lot of shortcomings from both male and female, not even only the female, but the female. At the end of the day, it was just one lady that qualified for the post, and even at that, she wasn't given the job for reasons best known to them. But my point is that it's not like the tech world is biased to women. They are not biased to women. We women, we are the one we are not supposed to step up and do what we are supposed to do. You can't see a tech bro or a tech lady that she will start something, and then majority of the time we just stop at what we already know. We don't continue. We don't continue with what we are supposed to do. Like, since we believe that okay, we know so thing, we just stop there. We don't continue from where we've stopped. We don't try to make effort to be better at what we already know. So trying to close the cybersecurity skill gap, we just have to make sure that where we are, make sure that you don't plan to be there for a long time. Whatsoever knowledge you know about cybersecurity, make sure that you take it a step further. You don't even necessarily have to take certifications. You might not have the money for certifications, but watch videos, attend trainings, attend bootcamp sessions, just to keep yourself up to date with cybersecurity trends, with newer trends, and out, just to stay relevant in the field. Because once you don't have what the organization need at that point, you're already creating a skill gap. That's just the point. Once you don't have, because skill gap is basically the difference when the current employee do not have what the employer needs at that point. So just make sure that whatever you are doing, you try to stay relevant, just make sure that whatever your employer needs from you at any point, you be able to do it without looking around and then starting to wonder, oh, I don't know how to do this. Oh, when did this come out? Oh, when did they find this out? And all that. So the major key to staying relevant and how to stand out is commitment. Now, commitment is that what you have to learn, you keep on it until you get a hold of it. Because no matter what you do, even if you own a business, if you are not committed to that business, you may, when you start, you may be having an influx of customers and all that. But once you are not giving the customers what they want, they'll just put you aside and just put you somewhere. Before you know, you are no longer relevant in that industry. That's just the whole point. You have to be committed to your cause. Yeah, you've decided that, okay, I want to stay on this course. I want to be a cybersecurity professional. I want to be a cybersecurity expert. I want to help people to keep their information safe, to keep it from unauthorized disclosure, or keep it from being tampered with by intruders. You have to make sure that you stay relevant in whatever you put your mind to do. Because even for hairdressing, for example, you're an hairdresser, you're a barber. and you've learned about hairdressing probably maybe 10 years ago, and you are very good at what you do. But then there are new styles that come out every day. New styles that come out every day. It happened to me recently. I wanted to make my hair, and I saw this style on TikTok. I wanted to make this hair. And then I went to my hairdresser shop, and she was like, oh, she doesn't know how to make this hair. And I was like, why would you be in this line, in this field, and you won't know, you won't keep yourself up to date with trends, with different things that are happening in your industry. You try to keep yourself up to date. When I went there, it happened about 2, 3 times. And then I went to do my hair. She doesn't know how to do about it. I have to start telling her that, oh, this is what I want. But even at that, she won't really get what I want exactly. After some time, I stopped patronizing her. So that's just how it's going to be. Because once your employer asks you to do a certain thing and then you can't do it, before you know, they'll look for another means to that will help their cause, because they can't keep employing you and then paying you a lot of money and then you can't even do what they want from you. So be committed and you be consistent in whatever you are doing. If you know that you want to be in this profession, you have to know that okay, you can't just stay stagnant with the information you have at hand already. You have to make sure that whatever you do, whatever you want to venture into, you continue to stay relevant in that field. Do we all understand? Do we all get me? Am I making any sense? So, do you have any questions, contributions? I think that's all I have. Okay. So
Okay, so Janet, I have a question.
okay.
So my question is, what are the factors, like what factors do you think contributes to men being more skillful than women in cybersecurity?
Mm.
And I feel like the question should also be thrown to the house. So you
Yes.
can also answer in the chat box. Well, I would love to hear
Okay.
from you. Thank you.
All right. So factors. Now, the major issue, I won't say, I don't use the word factors, because if you look at it, um, different things have been done to ensure that the the gap between the male and female is slowly closing, to just make sure that the playing field is balanced. But then there's only so much that the organizations can do. Majority of this still lies in the it lies in the females, like in their mindsets. I don't know if that makes sense, because some women, they, it's not like they don't want to do it. Like they want to do it, they have the passion to do it, but once they face maybe a stumbling block, or maybe there's something they wanted to do and then they didn't get it, so people just get fed up and just like relax where they are. So I don't know. Does anybody have a contrary opinion to what I said?
Okay, so is there anyone that wants to speak so that I can unmute you to speak on this question? You can just raise your hand. It would be nice to hear from someone.
Okay, someone is saying she give me a minute.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good
Can we hear me?
evening. Very faintly.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Okay, so can we hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so speaking on the factors or reasons why it's possible or reasons why it's obvious that there's like a skill gap between male and female, especially relating to cybersecurity. Aside mindset, right? Because we are all aware that a lot of organizations, NGOs, I mean, a lot of corporations are actually showing willingness to encourage more women, they're organizing programs, learning opportunities, and so on to encourage them to like delve into the space. But another thing we could actually consider as a relative factor as to why we have more skilled men than women is because the field generally is not, there are fields where you have that notion of, oh, this is like a woman's field or a man's field. So it's not as if it's defined as a man's field, right, outrightly. But there are fields where it's not generally perceived as a field where women should be delving into. So a lot of women don't even think of delving into it. Like now, if you go to a secondary school and ask like a pool of 200 ladies now, young ladies, what do you want to be in future? You will hardly hear any one of them say, oh, I want to be an ethical hacker or a pen tester. Even though you've taught them about cybersecurity and all of that, like they are aware, but you have only a few of them really saying, okay, I want to delve into cybersecurity. Why? Because there's still that general perception of, oh, this isn't really it. So some of the people who even go through these trainings, they don't fall that because, yeah, I know about it, I just want to like know about tech and that's it. Like they end up doing other stuff or other things. Then men are willing to, because they know, okay, this is something they really want to do, they're willing to go the extra miles to get like certifications and all that. Please, can we hear me? Hello?
We can hear you. We can hear you. Or I
Okay, so
can rather.
okay, yeah. They are more willing to pay for certifications and all. Like these certifications are not cheap. Actually, they are not for any
Yeah.
profession anyway. Certifications are not cheap. As far as you want to get like a globally recognized certificate, like
Yes.
to affirm that okay, you know these things, they are actually not cheap, not in any profession, right? But
Yes.
because of that general notion, they're not willing to like really invest in getting certifications to now make them competitively compete with the male counterparts. Just like take nursing for example. Now you have more females in nursing than males, right? Even though people are still
Mm.
encouraging males to like go in, become
Yes.
nurses and all, have more certified female nurses than even certified male nurses because of that general perception of, oh, nursing, it's
A
a
nurse
woman's
is
thing.
supposed to
I
be.
don't know if it, not because anybody defined it as a woman's thing, but it's just there is that perception generally. It's there. So that's why the fact there is really I would say it's left to each person now, each individual that has gained like basic cybersecurity skill to now polish themselves, because what these organizations can do is only encourage you, only enlighten you, only give you the basic, like the introductory knowledge and all, because getting advanced knowledge, you need both skill, you need certification, and then you need the zeal to do all that. So, and that's what companies want. They want people who are willing to actually thrive in that industry. So that's really how I see it. So aside mindset, um, so in general, well, what I've said so far is the general perception of, oh, men's field, females field thing. That one too is a problem. Then thirdly, the unwillingness to pay for certifications. So they rather pay for a certification to go and, or they rather pay for like a makeup course. or a hairdressing course or a styling course. I don't know if you get that, and pay for a basic cybersecurity certificate. So it still lies with the people, they themselves. That's not to say that there are no women who are going all out to like compete, get these certifications, get these skills and all. There are, and they're doing awesome, right? But we still have these challenges, and we still have a lot of us who are faced with these challenges. So yeah.
Okay, I think that was well said. We have some people that want to talk, so I'm going to unmute Precious Olives.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Precious.
I don't know if you can hear me. Good evening.
Precious, are you there?
Yes, can we hear me?
Okay.
I'm speaking.
We
Good
can
evening,
hear
everyone.
you.
Okay.
Good evening.
Those are amazing. This is an amazing session, though, and I really like the whole contributions that have been made so far, and my own 2 cents. And it's going to be more like a contribution as well. And I think maybe a question too, perhaps. So the thing is, I think along the line, it goes beyond just the certification. And I think our speaker, that should be Janet, right? If I'm not mistaken. She also addressed that good number of times companies are looking, we are talking about skill gap, and in skill gap, skill is skill, not even certification or the proper legal thing. The skill is the skill. Just even in programming, in programming, people don't really talk about writing certification exams in programming, but I know in cybersecurity, these are things that somehow are looked into, and reasons being that it's a sensitive area, and nobody will just give you or hand over their sensitive infrastructure to you who is not experienced. So the big issue now is not about the about people getting certifications and more. The big issue is how experienced are they? And experience takes a whole lot, especially in our field. And here's why I'm explaining that. She gave an example of company XYZ and their recruitment process. So it happens a good number of times when companies want to recruit people, they'll take, for example, even good number of cybersecurity entry levels. Even excuse me, excuse me. Even CYSEC has actually done situations whereby we are looking at bringing the best and the brightest. We're trying to reach out to the foundational people, and also good number of companies do this when we are trying to reach out, and then we say, okay, we have prospects of also giving you jobs, also giving you engagements that are going to be paid for. And also along the line, you get certification. But do you understand that some good number of the times, the criteria for you to cross their recruitment stage or selection process is either you are doing some sort of CTF or some sort of hackathon and more. And it happens a lot because this is a general way to even, first of all, analyze people's mind, analyze how good or how well have you researched in the field. And this is this is the reason why sometimes it looks as though guys stand to like man the field more than women, because they could easily go online, search for resources, practice on their own, and when opportunity comes, they strike it. And good number of people feel like, yeah, I really want to get into the field, but they failed to do the initial little bit effort, like boot camps, free boot camps. Apart from just free boot camps, also paying for some, and even aside paying for some, YouTube a lot. There's almost nothing you're looking for in the foundational level that's not already on the internet. But when people fail to do all of these things, and opportunity comes to say, yeah, we want to recruit interns, and even good number of times I've seen good companies want to recruit interns, but before they recruit the interns, they have to undergo some level of assessment. What do they already know? So that it doesn't look as company is going to be spending so much or considerable amount of resources in building these people. So this tends to be problems most of the time. And I think this is why one of the major reasons why we have a larger skill gap. And I have another input to say regarding that. Good number of people finish up from the university and more. And the next thing that comes into your mind is how do they break into the field and how do they start making money? Because the society makes it feel like when you leave school or even before, you're supposed to start making the money. And the truth is, people now begin to fail to build. Good number of people who make the money in the tech industry actually started off earlier, in the sense that before school or during school, that's when they were doing the whole lot of tech activities, learning and learning and learning. But it's not the same for everyone. A good number of people, they leave without having any learning process. And the next thing that is faced with before them is different responsibilities. They need to make cash. And what happened? Their attention is divided because you can't equally. It happens, but rarely for you to chase money and also chase proper skill. You will be robbing Peter to pay Paul. One of them is just going to be lacking somehow. So what happens over time is people begin to look for how fast they can get into the cyberspace and make money. And they forget that the cyberspace is really large and really crazy. Before companies even employ you, they already have people who are like, there's almost no intermediaries. Either you are very good. Sorry, there's almost no beginner. There's almost like no space for beginners. And I think that's the reason why good number of companies are trying to do the whole community to brood people. Because good number of people who we want to employ a starter into their cyber field and more, we either look for a beginner intermediary or an intermediate person, somebody who is like early intermediate or intermediate. So the beginner person has no chance. So this is why there seems to be that skill gap in cybersecurity. And though we've actually mentioned this, but I would like to still get ideas from every other person's. With what we've said so far, what do you think there are other extra factors that can be built upon to counter this or to bridge this gap that already exists? Because I already mentioned different factors. People try to make money quickly, and when they get into the field, they see that it's not as easy as that, because it's more of, do you know what you're doing? And when you don't know what you're doing, there's no way no company is going to employ you. So apart from that, you now get the issues. I think I explained the other first issue about the interns, no rooms for people to get interns and many other things. I think that's all I have to say, though.
Okay, I think that was a wonderful contribution from Mr. Precious Olives. And I can see that we have one contribution in the chat box. So someone said, when it comes to tech skills, men seems to be more desirous and committed. Well, I don't know if I agree with this statement, because I feel anybody can do or attain whatever they want to attain if they are committed, be it a man or a woman. Of course, there are some factors based on gender. There are some gender-based job skills. For example, like what one of us said by the nursing, some people feel like, oh, as a lady, it is okay to do the nursing thing because women are seen as caregivers. But to me, according to what our speaker said today, being committed and being consistent is what keeps you going, is what gets you to where you want to be. So if you want something, as far as you're committed and you're consistent and not being too expectant at the beginning stage, I believe that you can get to wherever you want to get to and be skillful and be a professional, whether you're a man or a woman. So I think that's all for tonight. I want to, okay. So someone asked how he can get hands-on internship in cybersecurity in Lagos. So I think you should, I'm going to allow Precious to answer that question. So let me unmute him.
All right, thank you so much. And I think with what I've explained so far, I'm not going to say it's very impossible, but it's rare to get internship where you already have something going already, especially in cybersecurity. Except a good number of companies will actually take you in, but your job role may not be really focused on cybersecurity, because I already started off by saying it is really sensitive. So now the big question is now how. It is way more easier to get to fill in intern positions than quickly. I mentioned quickly graduate from intern positions when you already have a foundational or slightly or early intermediate level skill, which means on your own, you should have already gone to do a little bit research, play some CTFs, use TryHackMe or one of those platforms people using, pimping up their skills, and mostly focusing on your specific area of specialization, because that's another key area. Good number of people go random because they just follow the trend, and at the end of the day, some of them early realize that offensive is not for them. Some of them realize that they think investigation is what they would love doing, and before they get to those realizations, like too late for them to go back and start picking up many other that's a responsibility to start coming in, and then they get all distracted again. So to break in and easily get interns in Lagos, for a good number of companies I know, and I've had people really applied as interns and built up over time, like in a space of months to years, and they are doing extremely well. They started off by, first of all, you could go as an early volunteer. I don't know, people rarely do this, but feel free to go to your dream company or the company you feel this company is really going into CyberSec. Volunteer, tell them, okay, this is the level of knowledge I know. Or you can be honest with them that I don't know anything about, I'd love to come and do intern, and cost on you. Yeah, you have to bear that at the internal stage or for the beginning stage. But good number of companies, when they see your input and they see your tenacity, they can cover those up for you. That is one way for those who like have very, very low gross beginning or have no experience whatsoever. But then if you have a little bit experience, like you've done a little bit, did CTFs, you've passed some little CTFs, you did some hacking challenges, you passed, you did some free online courses and some free online certifications, and you've passed, those will even give you great chance to start. You could just tell them, oh, this is what I already have, and I want to come as an intern. This company sees you that you are not a burden and you're not a liability already. They will only see it that you need more office experience, you need more corporate experience and technical background added to what you already have, which is going to be easier for them to give out to you, because they know that since you're already on that part or on that lane, it's easier for them to dish it out. So that is the way I've seen it in Lagos and many other places. That's the way the trend has been so far. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say. Then keep applying to different one of them. You see different companies offering from interns, but like I said, good number of them will either look for graduate intern, or even before you get into the intern program, they will do proper scrutiny, which, like I said, you need to pimp up your skill to a certain level for them to do that, because number of them will want to pay you as you're doing your internship, no matter how small, and they want to make sure that you're also adding value. But the ones, if you don't have any skill at all, then you could do the volunteering, like I just explained. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Precious Olives. I feel like you have touched every part of how the mindset someone should have before thinking of going into internship or doing internship with any organization or our own organization. So I don't think we have any other question. I want to appreciate each and every one of us for attending this webinar. I want to especially appreciate Janet, our Shirut alumni. She was amazing. And I believe each and every one of us enjoyed her presentation. So if you have any other questions, you can forward it to our email at info@cysec.ng and we will answer your questions. Thank you very much for attending this webinar. It was nice having all of you. And my name is Oyindamola Jimo. So we can thank Janet, thank every other person for this beautiful session. Thank you so much. And we appreciate you, Janet. So next time, we don't know who next. I think we should be expectant to also be a surprise. So good night, everybody. Bye.
Bye.